Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode. Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek podcast with a familiar favorite of the podcast here today. James, thinking back about like even our first conversation, like how much things have grown for you and I.
Yes.
It's just wild, to continue to watch the changes of different things. But for those who don't know you and those who do know you, maybe introduce or reintroduce yourself to the listeners. Just tell them a little bit about your business and what you do.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. It's great to be back on the Shed Geek podcast. And so I'm James Price. I'm the co-founder of Shed Pro. So we do 3D shed designer, Google Ads, websites, helping the shed industry sell more sheds.
Yeah, it's a worthy cause because people always want more sales. And it seems like, this post-COVID era, election year, waiting for things to break loose after November, maybe, increase in, every area of spending that we can see, at least what the news is telling us, depending on which one you listen to. And
Yep.
It's interesting though, but I think we all feel sort of the squeeze, but yet there are some businesses based off their business model continuing to see growth and success, even in a down era and a more of a stressed economy. What do you think's causing that? Is it because they're using Shed Pro's 3D configurator?
Yeah, well, we tell people like during COVID, it's like nobody needed help with sales. It was just things were coming through the door. So they used our services to kind of smooth out that sales process. But now, as COVID has ended, there's that drive to figure out how to generate more leads, more opportunities. So we do see an increase in inquiries, people contacting us for help with generating those leads and those opportunities. And so we do see a lot of people, even though it's a down economy, we see they're using all of the services, whether that's the ads, the website, the 3D designer, or even going with some of these other platforms, Sheds for Sale or Shed Hub, as we had talked about. So they're using all of these things to their advantage, and a lot of them are saying, "Hey, sales are doing great right now," and they're not seeing the necessary downturn that some of the companies are experiencing. So, yeah, taking advantage of the tools and what's out there can really help with the sales.
Yeah, it's well, this digital storefront's just a different beast, especially for guys who got in for the manufacturing purposes, right? They got in and now all of a sudden they're, drug into the retail market and all that goes with it from, all the acronyms. Think of every one you want, from CRMs to SEO to PPC ads and like everybody's like, what are you talking about? This all sounds like a foreign language. And it's like, yeah, I get it. It's just the, seems to be where the direction that the world is chasing is, not just in sheds, right? We're just not immune to the rest of the world. So it's kind of like understanding the retail market. And a lot of guys are like, hey, I don't know that I want to learn everything about, virtual reality and 3D configurators and all these details, but it's kind of become imperative now in the sense of having a digital storefront. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, just interesting. You mentioned the acronyms. A lot of times I'll tell people we're in the shed industry, and they'll go, "Oh, what does shed stand for?" And they're looking for that as an acronym. Like, no, just sheds, portable buildings. But yeah, it's what we tell people is, I mean, we live and breathe this stuff all the time. So allow us to focus on that for you, so you don't have to necessarily go out and learn, okay, what are all these acronyms? What is the best way to target your Google Ads? What's the best way to structure a website? Of course, we do see that the people that do go out and get that foundation understanding, then they can have a little bit more success as we have those conversations. Like we'll have monthly or quarterly check-ins And if you do have some of that background, then you can dig into the data a little bit more and better understand what your customers are seeing on a Google Ads side, and then you can apply that to your other sales strategy, your other marketing strategy. But if you don't want to dig into it, then we are happy, more than happy to dig into it for you because we love it. We live it, we breathe it. And that's kind of our excitement to see those trends, to see the data, figure out what's getting your potential customers to click. We love that part of the business.
I saw a Facebook meme recently that said, I no longer believe communication's the key, comprehension is the key. And I
Mm,
love that comment because, we can communicate, but oftentimes we can miss the mark whenever it comes to
mm,
comprehending. And I stopped more in my tracks recently whenever somebody was discussing these acronyms and SEO and different things. And it made me think of a late friend of ours that I just wrote about in Shed Business Journal, my inaugural article for them. I discussed sort of my time at Graceland when I got started, and part of that was Burtis Bright,
mm,
who also went to church with us, attended some men's conferences with him, and he always talked about a paradigm shift, and it was always such a
mm,
great story. And like I think my personal paradigm shift came whenever we were discussing marketing with a client, and we were we were saying like CRM and SEO and all this stuff. And the guy said,
mm.
listen, you can keep saying all of these words and acronyms all you want, but like until you explain to me what SEO means, like it's
Yeah.
not really registering. It's not just enough to communicate it. It's enough that I need to comprehend it, right? Like I need you
Mm,
to
mm.
spend the time with me to sort of break down how it works so I can be educated on my purchases or,
Right.
what it is I'm missing. And like I appreciate the guys who like want to know. They want to
Yep.
know and ask questions. Because, if they already have a bias of it, we don't have an opportunity to really,
Hmm.
work our area of expertise or whatever. So I'm excited, about the analytics as well, the understanding it, like not just that they're here, but what do they mean? 1.2 million impressions. What does that mean? What does that help?
Hmm.
That's really
Hmm.
where people get to is like, how does that help me? So
Hmm.
I understand the world and,
Yeah.
yeah, what,
Yeah. And even for us, it's going beyond that because so a lot of companies they'll put out those numbers. Okay, you got this number of likes, you got this number of impressions, but ultimately it comes down to okay, what's the revenue that's generated from
right.
this? So that's what we like to point to is okay, here's the end result. Here's the customer that's buying the building. Here's the revenue that's been generated, and then you can work it backwards to go okay, what's the return on this investment that I'm putting into it? And that's to us. I mean, that's where we want to take every customer to show that not just okay, you've got a million impressions this month. We want to get down to okay, what does this translate to as far as a sale or as far as a solid lead where you're working it now to work that through the sale cycle.
Yeah. The leg bone's connected to the knee bone, right? Like, how does this affect
Right.
this? And that's ultimately what
Yep.
people want to
Yep.
know is like, if I spend this, what do I gain here? What's my ROI?
Yep.
Because we need another acronym. What's my
Yep.
ROI?
Yeah.
Uh, I think we could make a healthy song on just all the acronyms that we have to use on a daily basis. But that's really what it comes down to is as the way I explain
Mm,
it is like, hey, it's just you can turn the tables around real quick. Just put me out there building a shed with your best shed builder, and like
mm.
I can build something that
Yep.
looks
Yep.
like a shed. It'll be similar to have a lot of the parts that are necessary. You know what I mean? Like an entryway, maybe a window, a
Yep.
floor. We'll have a roof on there. I'll get by, but you'll notice the obvious differences in the quality, and that's one of the ways that we sort of sell the services for like the PPC campaigns you were talking about, like
Mhm.
Google and Meta ads. Is like you're essentially betting on the idea that if the ad budget is ad budget, right? James, like that's
Yep.
Google's money and that's Meta's money. That's Facebook and Instagram
Yep.
money.
Yep.
They're going to get theirs because that's the service they're providing on their platform. But you're essentially betting on our service fee that we can spend a smaller amount of money and obtain more results than you can by spending more money, because there again, you're not a marketer, or you're not someone doing this every day, just the same as we're not shed
Mm-hmm.
builders. We can build
Great.
something that looks like a shed, but it may not be as good. And I bet if I just pay you to build the shed, it would look a lot better than if I go do it myself.
Right.
That's ultimately the thought process we go through. I don't know
Yes.
about you guys.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, and two, kind of similar where we can do the 3D designer, and Shed Geek Marketing does the advertising and the website. So I mean, it's playing nicely together. Some two strengths of ours. So yeah, I mean, just putting everyone in the place that they have the greatest value, the greatest strength, and then from that, the maximizing the impact or the influence on the market can really win out for all of us.
Yeah, taking people down those journeys of website designs, like you said, and really just understanding that digital storefront and being able to like talk talk to them and take the time to explain it. It's become a real passion of mine, and these phone calls are getting
Mm.
long sometimes with us just because we feel like it's necessary. You know, it's service based,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you know, you have to create that. Anthony Mitchell calls it legendary, the legendary customer service. You have to be
Mhm.
able to present that, and I owe him royalties for that, so I'll have to send him
There you
a
go.
check. So, but I love it that he says that, and we've tried to acquire that ourselves. Managing your rent to own contracts just got easier with RTO Smart. Designed by leaders in the rent to own storage industry, RTO Smart was handcrafted to enable you with the tools needed to manage your own contracts your way without using a third-party rent-to-own company. RTO Smart is your one-stop shop, allowing you to generate contracts and manage customer accounts from start to finish while maintaining simplicity and flexibility. Call us today at 316-618-9396 or visit our website at rtosmart.com to schedule a live demo and discover why RTO Smart may be right for your business. So, James, I remember seeing you guys at the Shed Expo. Maybe the first time that I seen you guys and met you there, and you guys were really unveiling this the virtual reality thing, which I think we talked about in the previous podcast. And man, I just loved it. I love being able to like go through with your team, manage, like, you know, looking at the shed, the backyard. But I'm curious, and maybe the listeners are curious. What's new? What else are
Mhm.
we doing that
Mhm.
that you know is Shed Pro raring up to do some really neat and fun stuff? You
Mm.
guys will be at the expo this year. We're in August now, so you'll be there in September in Michigan.
That's right. Yeah, and I think our booths are almost neighbors to each other, so we can wave to each other at the show.
Bring
Um,
snacks, James. Bring
there you
snacks.
go.
You'll earn a
Will
friend
do.
from our booth.
There you go. But yeah, we really enjoyed that first expo that we had gone to, and did the augmented reality and showing that virtual shed that you could walk through. And so we realized, hey, we need to have a bigger splash at the show this year. So we are releasing a few new things. The first one is that we do want to release a tiny home configurator. So what we've seen on the market as far as tiny homes is there's not a whole lot of tiny home configurations, and that's one of the questions that we just constantly get from our customers saying, "Hey, can I do more on the interior?" So we are releasing that. So that'll include the interior walls, and it will allow to do cabinets and appliances and different layouts that you would have for the tiny home. So we're excited about releasing that, and I think it's a great way for the shed businesses to earn some additional revenue, and also some great profit margins for those tiny homes. And then the second thing that we're really excited about is, I guess last year's expo, finishing that expo. I always love going to the expo because it allows you to kind of see, okay, what's the trend? What are
Hmm.
people needing? What do people want?
Yep.
And so the biggest takeaway that I had from last year's show was that people were really looking for some of what we kind of call the post-sale solution. So it's like after someone goes from the Google Ads to a website to the 3D designer, and they've made that purchase, okay, how do you manage that going forward? So it's the contracts, it's the managing inventory of these buildings on your lot. It's getting the e-signatures, it's the RTO, and all the way down to, okay, getting this building actually delivered to the customer. So what we're releasing is we're calling it the Shed Pro platform. And so that will include everything post-sale. So of course, we still offer the services that we have up to this point, the Google Ads, the website, and the 3D designer. But then in addition to that, we are doing point of sale. So you can do cash, credit card, RTO, allow for the better management of quotes and contracts and e-signatures, all those things that you just need to do to finalize a sale. And then afterwards, okay, giving the customers more management of their inventory, whether that's inventory on one single lot or you're managing multiple lots, or it's a manufacturer with multiple dealers. So you need to spread that inventory across multiple lots. And then finally, work orders and managing that through that production process. So it's going through flooring, it's going to roofing. So you have all of that better management. And then finally, ending with delivery. So we'll have an app for the drivers so then they can track deliveries and take photos after it's delivered and put a GPS stamp on it. So we're super excited to release the whole platform. So then that way we can really help the shed business go from A to Z all the way through the process.
So Shed Pro platforms, what I should be watching for. Well,
There
I
you
mean,
go.
yeah, okay. All right. Well, that's no,
Yep.
it's super exciting because, like with any business, you want to see growth,
Mm.
what you guys have done, in offering a 3D configurator to the industry has been pretty phenomenal, pretty awesome. I mean, I hear
Mm.
compliments about the graphics and different things all the time, but probably what you were hearing is one of those where it's like, yeah, what next? Now I have to,
Mhm.
attach to a third party. And nothing wrong with that. There's tons of
Right,
collaborative
right.
efforts. I mean, you have a collaborative effort
Mm.
as well underway, and it's going great. We enjoy it. Um, but yeah, sometimes like having sort of that internal drive to want to be able to help your customer, like you said, from A to Z. We're getting halfway
Mhm.
there, but we want to be able to finish this process post sale. So it sounds like a pretty complex software, and
Mhm.
this panel that you'll have behind you will have a lot of functionality.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah, it's I mean we think it'll be competitive to anything that's on the market currently. And it's what we kind of pride ourselves in is not only, like you said, the best quality graphic design, but also just the relational side of the
Mm.
business, making sure that when someone calls and says, "Hey, I need some help with this," or "Can you get this updated?" So we want to take that forward into this. So it's not just the software, but it's the people behind the software, and providing that customer service. So that's number one for us, and it's one of our core values is love people in the community. So as we offer this software, then we want to make sure that it's coming with the same customer service that people have come to expect when they are working with Shed Pro. So we're excited about that as well. Just the to be able to have more interactions with our existing customers and provide better solutions to the people that maybe they're not quite ready to do the 3D, but they need help with managing all the process of selling a shed. So we'd love to start having those relationships as well.
That's one thing that you have been super consistent on since the first time I've met you is these long discussions that me and you often have about, relationship and
Yep.
business relationship, how that fits into your, if you want to say, into your ministry, Like
Mm-hmm.
how do you separate business and work, and then how do you like tie them in also together where they're so interwoven that you don't
Mm-hmm.
know. What's one of my favorite sayings, like, if someone had to convict you of being a Christian, would there be enough evidence for your conviction? That's kind of the way it is, like even in your
Right.
business. Like
Yes.
how do you do business, but then also still tie in those very integral parts of like your deep rooted faith where they're no longer just
Mm-hmm.
separated, and church is church
Mm-hmm.
or work is work, or and then like it's just all
Yeah.
it all kind of works together where you're trying to be the best
Yep.
person, best business partner, best all of that, and that's quite the feat, James. But it's always been a consistency thing with you that you've always made that a paramount part of your value prop.
Yeah. Well, I've learned from some great people, and I've loved our conversations that we have, and like you said, they go long, but it's always encouraging. But I've had some great people that have blazed the trail ahead of me that I've been able to just reach out to and have as coaches and mentors along the way. And the number one thing that I've learned through all this is like in the beginning, I struggled, like you said, the balance of going, okay, am I a business owner or am I loving people? It's like feeling like I always had to keep that balanced. But I had some great people that said, hey, stop balancing it, just mash it all together, integrate it together. And as you do work, it's like, okay, doing excellent work is a way to bless other people. And so that's key for us is kind of integrating it all together to basically just live life together, caring for customers, caring for clients, for our employees, family members, all of those things that we really feel like our calling on our heart is that God has told us to be a blessing to the people that we're working with. So that's a big desire of our hearts. So don't always do it well, but at least we're trying along the way, and have some great people that can let me know if I need to do any better in that effort. But that's been a huge blessing to have coaches and mentors ahead of us, helping us to keep our eyes on the right prizes along the way, and make sure that we are blessing the community and blessing the people that we're in relationship with.
Hello, shed sellers. Let's take a moment to discuss the shed customer and meeting their expectations. I remember growing up in the neighborhood where a certain percentage of the houses had well manicured lawns and well manicured homes. These were the type of individuals who felt it was important to purchase a well constructed home or vehicle, or maybe equipment to help maintain the quality of the item. As shed manufacturers, we seek to provide a well built quality shed. We want the customer to feel satisfied that their hard earned money has been well spent on a product that will last. At LuxGuard, we believe adding high quality rubber flooring to your line of sheds makes sense to the customer and adds value the customer can appreciate. With each year, sheds are becoming more complex. The customizations we are seeing are virtually endless. LuxGuard not only gives a complimentary aesthetic appearance for their shed, but also protects the floor from spills and keeps cleanup simple. Offer your customer the customer service they seek with LuxGuard. At LuxGuard, we are committed to delivering exceptional customer service and innovative products to help our customers achieve their goals. We strive to meet the evolving needs of the customers. To speak with one of our ready-to-serve customer product specialists, simply call 336-468-4311. To see our product and view an installation video, just visit our website at luxguard.com. LuxGuard, the floor that lasts a lifetime. Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate the consistency on and off air always in the way that you approach business. Use the word balance in there, and it's always one I like to like kind of throw in there because it's an easy topic to discuss, work life balance and all these different things.
Mm.
And I'm reading a book. I was kind of pleased that me and you brought up in the conversation preemptively discussing sort of a joint book that we had read, Simon Sinek. Leaders Eat
Mm.
Last, and we were sort of discussing some of the details of that. Just finished that book last week.
Yeah.
A big Cynic fan, but um,
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was there or another book I was reading recently that was talking about the word balance and how often it shows up in our lives and how sometimes it's okay to be perfectly off balance to correct
Hmm.
sort of a problem. So you're struggling financially, you need to focus your
Mm.
attention on gaining
Hmm.
more financial benefit in your life. So you need to be somewhat out of balance. Or if you're
Right.
extremely overweight and you're trying to fix that, you need to get
Yep.
unbalanced, to go to the gym and
Mm.
like focus more on that until you can find a point of routine and more steady balance. And like this, it really changed sort of like my mindset at looking at different things on like the
Mm.
areas that I find weakness in that I need to.
Mm.
And I always go back to the story of like going to Cape Girardeau and Pastor Bolin, who runs a teen challenge over there, and we were
Mm.
involved with different teen challenges and things like that, and faith based drug and alcohol recovery for a while. And I think I've told this
Hmm.
story before, but I remember like this guy was so revered, and it's like overseeing like a place for like 300 men sleep and things like that.
Mm.
And he says,
Mm.
this was getting ready to shut down whenever I got here. Teen Challenge was founded in
Mm.
1959, and this one was opened in 69, and it was donated like several hundred acres by a local family to the organization because they had saw
Mm.
what it done in their son's life and blah, blah, blah. And he
Yeah.
says, when I got here, it was almost shut down. And I said, oh my goodness, what did you do? And I was like expecting this like big move and act of God. And like he was going to tell me this thing that like blew my mind and like, oh my goodness, God really came through. And I remember he held his hand up and he said, well, when I got here, like the debt was up here and like the income was like down here. And I was like, yeah, man, tell me, what did God do? And he said, oh man, we just switched those two. And it was just like, it was so uninspiring. It was just kind of like, what? Like you're telling me the most common thing that I learned as a child, like don't spend more than you make, solved all of your problems. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter for a multi-million dollar industry or business or ministry all the way down to
Mhm.
like my kids and their allowance. Like, you know what? You spend this, you
Yep.
ain't got no more. That's just the way it goes. So
Yep. Yep.
I love to
That's
tell
good.
I love to tell the story, and I know that you'd appreciate it from your heart as a Christian. So, tiny home configurator. Let's jump back onto that.
Mm.
Big need for that in the industry. Not something I see a lot of, but it's definitely something that people want,
Mm.
especially as you see the transition of sheds no longer just being shed. Right? We do the Shed Geek podcast,
Mhm.
James, but
Mhm.
my goodness, what has it turned into? Tiny homes,
Yep.
post
Yep.
frame, carports. Where does it stop? I don't know, but
Yep. Yep.
you're seeing more call for this. So what kind of led you down that path?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, we've talked, and maybe we picked the wrong name, Shed Pro. It should have should have been something a little bit more broad as we go into some of these other ideas. But that's where we are now, Shed Pro. But so tiny homes, in the past 6 months, that has been probably the number one question that we've been getting from some of our existing customers, but also prospect customers that are calling us. So what we recognize is that's a real need, and that's what people are looking for. And what we've seen also, at least, I guess we've gotten some more contacts through Canada recently. And so as a result, there's Canada is releasing different incentives to help with the housing challenges that they face. So, okay, tiny homes or ADUs, they're offering incentives, grants, or pre-approved plans. So we just see that not only is it a need from the customers that we have, but also from some of the cities. They're going, okay, how do we solve some of our housing crises that we're facing? So we started kind of tiptoeing into it and testing as far as the technical side. Okay, what would be required for us to do this? And it wasn't too hard of a transition to go from the software solution that we have. I mean, we kind of always knew that we might be heading towards something more complicated than a shed shell. And so the way that we had structured the code and the solution allowed us to pretty easily adapt it to have the tiny home configuration built into it. So The nice thing is you don't have to go out and get a whole new separate configurator. It'll be all built into one configurator with options that you can turn on and off based on each person's particular needs.
Oh, that's great. So many customers come in, and like the different Facebook groups we see out there, the shed to house conversions, all these different things, looking for
Mm.
affordable housing. I know in our little town, one of the city councilmen's also owns a construction company, and he actually built a smaller ADU,
Mm.
kind of here to test out the theory to kind of see what that
Yeah.
still meet code, but then meet where that like single family housing looks. Maybe it's a just a mom and her kids, or maybe it's an elderly person just looking for a home, or maybe it's a new family that's just getting started, and maybe they can't
Yep.
afford that 2,500 square foot home or whatever it looks like, but they need something
Right.
smaller,
Right.
a lower introductory rate. But um, it just seems like more and more shed lots are getting these questions constantly about tiny homes. And I'll tell you from a marketing perspective, I'll give you a little free tidbit here. It's like if you go like, and you're a shed company and you're thinking about getting that modular certification or whatever it is in your state that meets code so that you can build ADUs, homes, tiny homes, whatever it looks like. I don't know the details
Mhm.
on it from each one, so forgive me if I'm butchering it. But from a marketing perspective, it is amazing at what you can do,
Mhm.
especially with ads, with that,
Yes.
because it
Yep.
goes into a whole different level, like of like category whenever you're talking about homes.
Mhm. Mhm. Right.
I don't know. What are you guys seeing?
Exactly. That's exactly right. And it's not too far of a transition to jump from marketing from a shed to a tiny home. But I mean, it opens up a whole lot of doors for you. And again, the profit margins, it's like the marketing budget that you're spending on a shed, and then you're selling a 5,000 or a $10,000 shed, where now you can transition that to selling a tiny home that's $70,000. Of course, it presents some challenges with that, but also at the same time, that marketing budget is going to generate a greater return for you. And then the profit margins are better too, so you're not needing to produce and get quite as many customers through the door with these tiny homes. So that's what we're seeing. And so the people that are selling tiny homes within our customer base, they're having some great progress. And so we hope to come alongside that and just go, okay, now here's a configurator, go with it, and help that buying process as they capture some of those interests already that they're seeing, help them go through it a little bit smoother and really get to that decision point where they're going, okay, this is the tiny home I want to buy.
Hello, today we're going to take a look at iFab's component saw system. So we're utilizing a DeWalt chop saw. We've put it on sliders, easily to adjust. We've automated it using pneumatics so that we can run all these saws together using one actuator. We can either actuate with a two-hand safety control here or a foot pedal. The two-hand safety control comes with board clamps here, so to clamp in your board so you're totally hands-free. We've got digital readout up here to find your angle as well as your length. So we have a 90-degree saw here for your super long angle cuts. We've also got a conveyor on this system to take away your cutoffs. This system is completely modular. We can add as many saws as you need. The rails can be as long as you need.
For more information, visit www.ifabllc.com.
It'd be really interesting to find out how many of these companies overlay into some of these other areas. Like we discussed, name a million companies that have shed in it, Shed Pro, Shed Geek,
Mhm.
Sheds for
Yep,
Sale,
yep.
Shed Hub. You know what I mean? Shediverse. Like,
And we all have orange colors to our logos too.
we could just keep going. Shed Suite. I don't know. Like, there's probably like I laugh in the shed business journal, right? Where like it has all the
Yep.
listings, and then like you get to shed and it's just like tick, 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 tick. And it's the same on my email folders, right? Like you're
Yep.
just,
Yep.
but it's sort of like a minimalistic approach at like what the overall encompassing businesses are from, you know, going to the post frame show recently in Branson, where I heard that like something like 41% of like post frame builders also build sheds, you know. So like now you're like, well, what level of post frame, you know, are they involved in? Are they, you know, if they're post frame, they're typically doing wood, but like are people getting into the metal, are getting into the red iron? How big does that go? Where does it stop? What about the
Right.
aluminum side? Then, you know, I see a lot of shed guys who are like, hey, it's worth going out and like purchasing equipment that's going to help me with my shed business. It ultimately leads into another business adventure altogether. You know, so it is kind of interesting. Like we say sheds, but like that word comes with like a caveat where I don't know, construction geek just doesn't ring quite like
It
shed geek
doesn't have the
does,
same.
you know, construction geek. And am I a
Yep.
construction geek? I'm not into homes and all these, you know, larger projects. So I'm like, I don't really know,
Yep.
and I don't want to, you know, pretend to be an expert, but I like having experts on to talk about it. So it's just an interesting thought, but obviously the business is growing, and I don't know where they overlap, where guys do tiny homes that also do sheds. But what's cool, and I mentioned this before too, so at the risk of redundancy, you know, we can service both markets. It's kind of cool. The minimalistic crowd who's like, you know, I just want to downsize. I want a tiny home, want something small, something simple. We got you.
Yep.
Storage.
Right.
That way I can store all of my extra and excess stuff that we've purchased outside of my home. We got you. We can take care of you. We can service multiple industries with a construction arm.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's awesome. We got so many requests for tiny homes when we were selling. So like to be able to have a configurator to like walk through the customizations with that, it's pretty phenomenal. And like, are you
Yeah.
first to
Yeah.
the market with this? I mean, is that fair to say?
Yeah, well, I think with our level of detail, yes. I mean, there's some configurators that are out there that will accomplish portions of it. But I think ours will be the first to have a little bit more flexibility. What we've seen is just some basic layout changes, but we want to be able to give that flexibility to really configure things within it and see it from all angles, move the 3D design around. So I think it's going to be first in the market for that whole solution that we've seen.
So let's get this sold. Let's get people on the Shed Pro platform. Let's get them on being able to see the tiny home designer. We're not sharing any of that in the episode today, but you know what? That just always gives us a reason to have you back on for another episode so we can discuss
Yeah.
that. But in the meantime, and we still got plenty of time left here, but I just want to give a plug. In the meantime, where would they go if they wanted to demo this, to see this information? What's some places? I don't know. Give some shout outs here on how to actually collect on the revenue here.
Sure. So you can go to our website, shedpro.co, and from there you can there will be some links in the top right or multiple places on the page to schedule a meeting with one of our teammates. So you could do it that way or send us an email at hello@shedpro.co. And so we would love to have those initial conversations, demo some of what we have. And then also do want to just throw it out there that if anyone is listening to this podcast and then they do reach out to us, just mention that to us that you've heard about this on the Shed Geek podcast, and we will be providing some good discounts to any of the listeners of Shed Geek that does mention that as you reach out to us. So we'd be happy to just honor the relationship that we have, Shannon, and all of the listeners here. So just give us a call and mention that you heard it here first on Shed Geek.
Hey, that's excellent. I love saving people money. It always seems to like earn you some favor, you know, when you can save people a little money. I'm costing you though money, James. So like, hey,
Yeah.
let's tell these people, if you know, we're a fan of the industry and we like to We like to work with those who not only come on the show, but collaborate with us. So give me a call. We'll make a connection with you. We'll figure it out. But, the main thing is get you a demo. Do a demo. You don't know what you're missing until you take a look at it. And James, I'm sure you'll welcome that if we can make a connection somehow
Yep,
with you.
definitely. Yep. Yeah. Any way, contact us directly or go call Shannon. That's completely fine with us. And we'd just love to give a demo to anybody that's interested.
I think it's going to go great because, it's one of those first to the table kind of things, like you said, the level of detail, but then, also it states like your solvency and position right now with like your, dedication to your product in the industry by growing and doing this multi-level functionality that exists in the back end now of ShedPro after the sale. Why is that stuff important? We can talk about what it does and the details of all of that. But as our one of our favorite authors, Simon Sinek, says, why? Why are you doing that? And how does this help? Why should a customer be interested, even current customers who are using ShedPro, but even new customers who want to come to the table and not just use the configurator or any of the other services that you offer, but like this back end system that's going to make things easier for them? Why should they do that?
Yeah, for me, one of the big driving factors for me is, as we've done business, we've had to use so many different solutions to accomplish everything that we want. It's project management, task management, HR, payroll, so many different tools, and we're working with so many different vendors. And so as we've just done natural business, we're always just looking for ways to simplify that life as much as possible for ourselves. So we know we want to have something that would be the same for our customers. So you don't necessarily have to go to all these different vendors to get the full solution. So that's a big driving factor to our why, is being able to provide the best possible solution to our customers at the easiest way possible. So that's huge. But also for us, it's again going to that sale. So if we can help kind of connect the dots all the way through that sale, where right now we'll do our 3D designer, and then we're connecting into other solutions to manage the sale afterwards. And we don't always get accurate data from that. And so we want to make sure that we're getting the most accurate data to say, okay, here's our efforts that we're doing for you, and here's the sales that are being generated from it. So again, we want to kind of have that full circle so we can show exactly to our customers, here's the value that we're adding to you, and that's ultimately to us is managing that sale. So connecting the full cycle allows us to better do that, have the right data, and then we can give better advice to our customers to say, hey, here's the trends that we're seeing in your business. Here's the trends that we're seeing on industry wide. Here's some areas that you can improve, and we suggest that you focus on these areas, like you said, to gain some more sales or more leads, more opportunities. So I think that's the data. I love the data, connecting it all to a data and to the final sale at the end.
Introducing ShedHub, your ultimate shed marketplace. Are you in the shed business and looking to connect with more buyers? Look no farther than ShedHub. ShedHub is a game-changing, two-sided marketplace that brings shed sellers and buyers together in one easy-to-use platform. Think of it as the Amazon of sheds. ShedHub isn't just any ordinary marketplace. It's a powerhouse that ranks on the first page of Google's search results in 91% of U.S. cities. With over 1.2 million impressions on our website last month alone, ShedHub is where you want to be to showcase your sheds to a wider audience. And here's the best part. For a limited time, you can join our exclusive Next 500 plan for just $39 per month. Simply head over to geek.shedhub.com to sign up and start attracting more shoppers to your shed listings. As the Shed Geek, I am here to endorse ShedHub and invite you to join me on this journey to boost your shed business. Whether you're struggling with website visibility or simply want more eyes on your product, ShedHub has got you covered. Don't miss out on this opportunity to supercharge your shed sales. Visit geek.shedhub.com today and make your mark in the shed industry with ShedHub. Well, success brings growth, my friend. And like you guys have been seeing more success over the last couple of years, and it's just natural to see that growth. And it's really awesome. There's some great companies out there that do things, but I relate it to sort of like being a shed dealer and, wanting to sell carports and like listening to the complaints I get back that says, we can't control the install. We can't control this. We don't have any control over that. And it's not control for the or for the purpose of wanting to control, but more wanting to ensure that a satisfactory service is being provided to your customer. And you just have more functionality to be able to do that whenever you vertically integrate sort of everything inside of your own offices with your own people who learn routines. We've experienced that ourselves here with the podcast. Yeah. My wife is now working with me. My son is working full time. My daughter's working part time. So like here they are editing videos and like different, and they're learning all the jargon, or they're learning like all the different people and personalities of the industry. And then whenever they see them, when they go to a trade show, or see them out in the field or something like that, they're kind of like, hey, I know that guy, or I listened to that guy talk for an hour, and I sat and listened. I picked up on all the little nuances and everything, but I tried to edit everything. People oftentimes don't see the full back end, of everything that's going on.
So I'm curious, like on family holidays, do you all work? Are you doing Shed Geek stuff? Or are you able to pull away from it?
We're getting ready to go to Colorado. We're leaving tomorrow, and we'll be out for 2 weeks. And part of that is wanting to be able to spend a little time together, and then wanting to do some work as well. So it's going to be really exciting to go down into some areas that we've just wanted to see: Telluride, Durango, go up into Moab, go down to the four corners, and just spend some time together. But then also, it's really cool because we get to get some podcasts while we're there, or visit some shed guys or some shed related products. So to answer your question, it is kind of difficult because we're working out of the house right now. We've got 4 desks spread out through the house, and we're all in our little rooms, and we're tasking away every day. But we have a good routine, and it's really a blessed life, James, in that I get to spend this much time with my family. Yeah, I get to see the grandbaby because my daughter comes over and she works while also we get to spoil the grandbaby Cecilia. So it's all in all, it's hard to know when you're working and when you're not. So like one of the things I was talking to someone about today is like we'd really like to eventually invest in maybe a business for long term here in our own hometown of some way, shape, or form, because we're doing so much traveling now that I got a feeling that come closer toward retirement, I'm going to want to stay home a bunch. And we sort of want some meaningful adventure that we can invest into. So that's really what's got my attention for the next 5 years. Not completely. I mean, my shed world is my world. It's just, it'll be nice to have like something that, if we decide to ever step away, who knows? How long can a podcast go? I don't know. We got 3 shows a week going now. We got Sam and Susan. We've got someone else who is possibly going to join the show. Like, and it's kind of one of those things like, can we run this thing 5 days a week? Are we trying to Rush Limbaugh the shed industry here? What's going on? But we enjoy these conversations, and I feel like sometimes these conversations are really helpful because I've seen the emails and the phone calls where people say, I know that guy, I like that guy or that gal, or I love the conversation you had with them, or the discussion that you had sort of helped me. I think that's why you should be going to shed hauler events, sales events. That's why you should be going to, the expos and trade shows and things like that happen around the industry, because you're invested in your craft. And if you're doing it as just a sidekick, I get it, but also don't get it, right? Like I invest myself completely into whatever I'm doing. And like the shed industry has really paid dividends through not just financial gain, but relationships that will just sort of be there, and where you do life together, and that's really, I don't know, that's the pinnacle of what you're trying to accomplish in success, is if you can be happy and content and satisfied, but also feel financially, secure. But maybe my most important and my favorite thing is that I feel what I didn't feel for a long time that I think a lot of people are looking for, James, and that's free. You want freedom to be able to choose, freedom to be able to go here and do these different things and sort of be in control of your destiny as God allows. And that he gives us that free will, and so it's so nice to have that, I can go in there when this call's over. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to kiss on my grandbaby. That's great.
There you go.
I would never have this opportunity without the shed industry. And for that, I'm eternally grateful.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to when my kids are old enough to join me in this. That'll be fun. And I realize now, my dad, he always had business that he was doing, and he would always hire me, and I just thought it was for cheap labor. But I think it was just more times that we could be together and we could be working together and talking. So I realized that it wasn't just cheap labor, but a way for us to connect. And so I'm looking forward to that with my kids as well.
yeah. Well, man, at the rate you guys are going, that is definitely in the cards. And I just really enjoy a relationship. We've been able to suggest or send a few people over to Shed Pro, and it's just been nice. And we have I'll open Pandora's box a bit on this, even though we're close here. We've sort of stayed away from different exclusivity and things like that to try to just be fair. And I don't know if I'm being unfair if we do something that's exclusive. A lot of listeners today are selling one type of shed or moving one type of shed. It's no different than what they're doing. It's a strategic business move. But definitely, with opportunities that have come, it makes me think about stuff like that more and more all the time. And my main thing is the thing that's important to you too, and that's maintaining relationships even as you try to grow, and not having to apologize for your success and growth, but also wanting to see good for yourself and good for others. And that can be a very hard tightrope to walk as you begin to expand and grow. But you guys seem to be doing it well, and I wish you nothing but success and luck as you continue to do it. Shed Pro is highly endorsed here at Shed Geek Podcast. We appreciate you guys and your approach.
Yeah, well, and we appreciate Shed Geek. Like you said, the clients that we've worked together with, I think it was great collaboration, playing to our strengths. And so, looking forward to some more of those collaborations together, and figuring out how we can, again, just be a blessing to you and to your customers. And I think you guys have the same heart to do it the same way. So that's why I love the conversations we have. And so that foundation of the relationship and being a blessing is always there.
Yeah. Here at Identigrow, we have been providing custom nameplates for the shed and furniture industry for over 20 years. We are so pleased to know that shed manufacturers see the value in expressing their shed brand to potential customers using an Identigrow nameplate. When you add an attractive decal to your product, you will more than pay for the cost with increased sales. Clients will not only be able to identify the shed brand, but it will help to brand and advertise to potential customers who can easily see the nameplate, and in many cases, find a phone number or website to shop for themselves. At Identigrow, we are happy to continue to serve and invite you to visit our website at identigrow.com or give us a call at 540-283-9193. You can even fax us at 540-283-9194 or visit our website by clicking on the Shed Geek newsletter and then simply fill out some basic information for a free catalog or free samples. Thank you, Shed Industry, for allowing us to serve you in identifying your sheds. Identigrow. Identify your products. Grow your business. Well, hey, believe it or not, we're into it 50 minutes. It happens really quick. But I don't know if we did this on the last podcast, but I'm just doing it on every one. And you maybe have heard me say this before, like if you've listened to other episodes, any questions you want from me, since I'm spending so much time asking you questions and you're telling us about all that you're doing, any questions that you have about podcasting, our marketing venture, rent to own, soon to be, I don't know. I guess it's okay to put this out there. We're officially doing this Shed Geek Finance. So like by the time this comes out, whether this is the first time someone hears about it or not, we're gonna get it out there. We won't have that booth at the expo this year, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. But any questions you have that you want to ask, and I'll answer them full transparency, no matter the conversation or topic.
Okay, good.
That's dangerous, isn't it?
I've been waiting for this.
Oh no, you've been planning.
I think we had talked about this previously about I mean it doesn't always go the way that we expect. We face bumps in the roads. So we'd love to kind of hear, okay, when things are looking down for you, or it's going sideways from the way you were expecting. How do you deal with that personally? How do you, what's that look like? How do you stay positive? I mean, yeah, how do you get through those down times, and any techniques or tips that you can help for those that have kind of gone through some of those challenges?
Gosh, what a great question. Do we have another hour? I don't know.
There you go.
So there's ebbs and flows in business, but then there seems to be ebbs and flows in relationships too, right? Probably one of the hardest things for me is like most of my childhood friends, I've never lost, they've always just drifted apart because life happened to us. I married, my wife, who was my girlfriend since we were 15 years old. So we were sophomore or something in high school. So like I never even really went through a bad breakup or had my heart broke or anything like that. It was just like, we married, and we've been married for 24 years, been together 29 years. And it's kind of wild that whenever you do have a traumatizing situation in business or friendship, that's been new to me, mainly as an adult. And to be perfectly clear with you, as a Christian, and that's not a diss towards Jesus or church or anything. I've had probably a harder time with relationships since I've become a Christian than I had before, because I sort of, maybe I knew what to expect of the world. You know what I mean? The world is the world. You know what I mean? But we forget that Christians are part of this world too, and that we're imperfect, and that we are flawed, and that we are not sovereign, but we are following a sovereign leader. So it's real easy to expect grace and mercy for all of your, sins and misgivings and wrongdoings and things like that. But how often are we so quick to ask God to not offer the same forgiveness to others, or not extend forgiveness, when something goes awry? Without God in your life, I don't know how you subsequently like manage those processes to get through them without allowing bitterness to just take sort of like this deep root inside you. Because it affects us all. It affects me. And sometimes it's really hard to navigate those relationships, especially if you're still in an industry together where you have something happen. If you can sort of let that natural progression of distance happen, then it's okay, because you're just kind of I don't have to see you, things like that. But I think that the only thing you can really do is check yourself internally in the sense that does this have any eternal value? Curtis Creason would tell me. I wrote about him from Graceland now with Union Grove, I think. And Curtis said his wife would tell him, does this have any eternal value? You get mad at the lady in Wendy's drive-thru. Does this, is telling her off going to hold any eternal value? So I think you got to measure, some things against that. And, for me, James, learn to embrace the challenge that you quit. If you quit seeing the difficulty as something that you want to avoid. Me and you are types of guys, we've talked about this, where we don't really necessarily want the confrontation. If we can like stay away from confrontation, it's better. Try not to burn any bridges. Man, it's really hard to do business, and even in the shed industry, and not creep up on either a burnt bridge or, just like a difficult situation, where it really pulls us out of our comfort zone to have the opportunity to grow. It's where we look back and we see most muscle develop being, lifting the heavy stuff, and the heavy stuff that's weighing us down is so often the day to day. I make jokes all the time, and I'm getting long winded here, but forgive me. But I make jokes all the time about if we were on a plane and the plane was going down and everyone was like freaking out, I'd probably be the guy to be like, I just didn't see this coming. I didn't say, I thought it'd be something different, because it's outside of my control. It's so funny how the big stuff that's outside of my control, I just don't stress over. It is instead, it's the nuance and the details of the day to day. It's like, the plane's going down. Hey, this guy got crossways with you in an email. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna stress on that because I don't want a bent relationship. But and then I'm gonna overcorrect, and I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes and do a lot of more damage before we get it right. So like those are the
I'll
things.
be careful with my emails to you.
Yeah, no, you're all good. It's just it's one of those things where you think, oh no, how do I
Fix this
better
bridge
this?
or
Yes,
put
how
this
do I
bridge back?
how do I do that? And man, we're all on this journey, and that's what's great about just keeping open dialogue. I think first, communication is terribly important. When you shut off communication, you shut off the opportunity for a discussion to happen where healing happens as well. So that I struggle with that. Like, we have to be able to communicate, but I also understand being guarded, because you don't want to open up the door and get punched 3 times. You open up the 4th time, you're probably going to duck, So I get it, I get it. But yeah, I don't know. What's your thoughts? How do you navigate it? What There's a lot of it in the shed industry that we don't talk about, and I don't talk about it on here because we try to stay positive. But there's a lot of it.
Yeah. I think I think it was Patrick Lencioni, one of his books, and it talks about good conflict and the communication that you're talking about. And so I think it's the realization that conflict can be good, done in the right way. If both sides are actively seeking to find something better in the end result for both sides, then that conflict can be good. And so I think that for me is just learning to balance that and being willing to go into the conflict. My nature would be kind of like what you're saying. It's like, hey, let's just let distance solve this, and time solve this. But just realizing, okay, we can't let that fester. Need to go in and have those conversations, dig into it, and talk about it. And maybe the outcome isn't always the way that I want it to go, but having that conversation and talking about it as quick as possible and as early as possible just allows God to do new things in those conversations in that relationship. So not running from the conflict is my lessons learned over the years, and going into it. And a lot of times some of those conflicts turn into some of the best relationships afterwards. And kind of getting down in the trenches together really helps to heal and restore and grow the relationship. So I'm starting to learn to face that head on, and be open to what God might want to do with the situation.
And just transparency, man. Even this conversation here today is not just all sheds. It serves as an example that there's a bigger purpose in conversation and communication, and what we do with our work. And this is why I always appreciate our conversations so much. I applaud you for who you are and what you're doing, and that you always keep your ministry first. For those that don't know, you're full-time in missions in Vietnam. So we didn't even discuss that really, but we just need to have you back on so we can go through the details again, and
There you go.
we'll make that happen at some time. In the meantime, if someone wants to know more about Shed Pro and all we talked about here today, once again, where can they find you?
Yeah, so reach out directly to us. Go to our website, shedpro.co, or email us, hello@shedpro.co, or reach out to Shannon if you want to. He can help connect the dots here for us as well. And like we said, as far as our platform and the tiny home configurator, let us know that you heard it first on Shed Geek podcast, and we will be providing some great discounts to any of the listeners.
Excellent. And you guys will be at the Shed Expo coming up here in 5
Yes.
or 6 weeks.
Yes, that's correct. We will be there and looking forward to it. And we'll be demoing the new products that we have there at the show.
Excellent. James, I appreciate you so much, your heart, your team, all of it. Wish you nothing but continued success. Would you be okay with praying us out of here today? Would that be too much to ask?
Sure.
Just maybe a prayer over the industry?
Definitely. Yeah. And thanks for having us on the show. Like you said, conversations are always a pleasure and an enjoyment, encouragement. So thank you for allowing us to be here. And I will pray. Lord, we do thank you for this time that we've had here. And we just ask, Lord, that your blessing would be over each of our businesses, but it wouldn't be only about selling sheds, but it would be about being a blessing to our community, to our teammates, our employees, our customers, and the families that we interact with. So, Lord, just allow us to be a greater blessing and honor and glorify you. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Appreciate you, brother. Can't wait to see you at the expo this year. And
I'll bring food to share.
Oh man, I've been trying to watch my figure. I don't know if I'm watching it doing anything. It may be watching it get bigger, but somebody told me recently, round is a shape if you're getting into shape.
Yeah.
But donuts, I'm telling you, man, you just can't go wrong with donuts, James. That's my weakness. But hey, listen, appreciate you so much, and encourage everybody to go and get a demo today.
Yep. Great. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Hey, this is Mo Lunsford in sunny Union Grove, North Carolina, and we want to say thank you to all the guests and listeners.